Hi YouTube, happy Saturday, and we're back for another session in our book. We're moving right along. Welcome to my studio. My name is Robin McClendon. If you're new to this channel, please hang around a little bit. We do all kinds of gel printing and book arts, collage, mark making, just an assortment of mixed media techniques. But this year we're going along in my book that was published last year, came out in October. Gel plate printing for mixed media art. So I decided I would go through this book with my community, with all of you guys, and just flush out even, more techniques that just didn't make it into the book, and all that kind of good stuff. They're just always, I'm always discovering something new every day when it comes to gel printing. So join with us, and let's get started. On this week, we're dealing with week 8. And week 8 is a fun one. We're doing Sumi ink for intuitive scripting and mark making. So we'll do a combination of some mark making. We'll do this dot pattern. It's one of my faves to do. We'll work with some other sort of mark making. We're going to do it over top of this dot paper, which is a nice way to do it. And then we'll do some scripting over top of that. So we're just going to make some papers that then we will work into our book that we've been working in. So let's just get started. I've already got some going with patrons. I already have some extra sheets down here dry, but I will show you just, how I do the dot pattern. It's nothing. It's not rocket science, but it's always fun just to show. And then I have some dry sheets that we can start doing some mark making with. Some of my favorite tools to do are with bottles. The bottom of bottles make the neatest marks. So let's get, I was working with whites and this sort of warm gray as a backdrop in terms of the dots, because I wanted the Sumi ink and the mark making to really show up. So I didn't want a lot of color, but that was my choice. You can certainly, do a different color palette if you like. And just kind of put dots randomly, but I try to space them every other. And then we'll come back with this white. And I'll just kind of space it in between, because you only want to kind of pull this one time. So that your dots show up. If you kind of go back and forth, then you start losing the pattern. Okay, so let's just see, we get a nice, there. I'm using the menu tissue, but any tissue you have, or any of the wet strength paper can be used. I just want to get a nice print. There's a good amount of paint down there, so you're going to get a good print right from the start. Just kind of use a waste paper to okay. So this is a good, so we see these dots. You can see the gray is a little transparent right now until it dries, but I wanted a more neutral background for the scripting. And then we can get another sheet and just go ahead and pull this ghost. And alrighty. So we have some more there. I have a little bit down here. I'm just going to go ahead and pick up. And set these to dry. And then I have one that's already dry, so I can show you. Then what I like to do is I'll change directions. So let's see. I have some here. These I've already sort of changed the direction. This one right here I can do. So then what you can do is put down another set of dots. You really can just kind of go right over what you've already done. They're normally pretty clear there, so that's kind of cool, you know, sort of thing. Once you get your pattern, you can just kind of go a little quick, you know, more quickly. And then we'll do the white. Okay. Let's go ahead and grab this. Because I have extra ink paint on my brush, I just roll it off on my plate. That way that builds up there. So now let's say that this is, you know, our first pull. Now just flip, I like to flip the directions and then try to get the dots kind of going in that open area. So just kind of figure out where you have things and then lay it down. And just kind of like a cross hatching. You can do that, you don't have to do it. I want a lot of space on the plate, that on the paper that doesn't have paint, because we're going to be doing some stamping over top of that. And then you kind of and then I want to leave space, or I'll just kind of use, like, we're doing different sheets for the collage, and so some of them will have the marks on them, and some of them will have scripting, because then we'll collage into our book. So you get this cool kind of just dot pattern that kind of cross hashes. And this one isn't dry yet, but I'm just going to use it. I'm going to flip it the other way and just get the rest of this up. And so that's basically how I've done the first layer. So we're going to move on to the next thing. We'll just start stamping some of the dry sheets. So there, that's that. So we'll leave these here to dry. And put up here. We'll cover this up. And then I'm gonna stamp on this side. I have some brown paper. Put down, because that'll absorb the ink under our papers, because the papers are, you know, pretty thin, and then of course the ink can bleed through. So we'll take one of these. These are already dry. I've already worked on those. So let's just take this one for starters. And one of my little favorite bottles, I have two bottles that I love. So one of them, let's put this over here. I always feel like I've run out of room. You know, because I'm working on this big plate and then I'm trying to stay within the camera. So this, in the Spring Valley inks, for those of you who got it, that little bottle makes the best little square. So we'll go ahead and put some more ink in my dish here. And I find that the bottles that are sitting around on your table make some of the best marks. I like them better than, you know, things that you buy or, you know, sort of pre-done. Because they're just, you know, so unusual. And, you know, I like the randomness of the way the mark is going to be made. So, to me, that just adds to... This is collage paper when it's time to collage with it. Love these squares. They're so kind of retro. So you can stamp the whole paper up. You can change up. Doesn't matter. So this is using our Sumi ink. And So we have that. Just off stamp up here so it's out of the way, but then this paper will be able to be used also. So even these smaller Ishizuki patterns or bottles are nice. If we wanted to just kind of add a different little square in there. We got an added dot with this one. How cool. So just kind of adding to the complexity of the design. Yeah, just pick your bottles up. You would be absolutely surprised the kind of marks that you can make. Okay, so that's that. Okay, so I'll put this to the side and let it dry. And then I have another mark that I like to make. So we'll take another one of our sheets. Another one of my faves is this bottle right here. It's an old Sumi ink bottle. I've had it forever, but I love the mark it makes. So I wanted to show you this because I want you to be encouraged just to pick up, oops, just pick up your, go back and get some of the ink off of there. Now this kind of stuff, of course, you know I like, because I like ink blots. I'm okay with the over painting, but see, it's like these, like a closed paren, you know. And but you never know until you actually pick up and start working with them. And I just love how you get these extra ink blots on here. And I think with the extra paint on here, it just really adds to the paper. You know, like you just get something a little bit more than just stamping the paper. Sort of get that mono printed layer. And then what's cool is that you can always coffee stain these too, or use the spray inks and spray dyes and stuff on them to actually fill in more of your paper. So we're going to let these, well, I already have another set dry because we want to go on to doing some scripting, and then we're going to go and collage in our book. So let's just remove this, and I'm going to get the scripting out. Get my brush, and then I'm going to script on one of these. So let's see. So I have another one right here. So a script on this one. So let's just go ahead and turn this over, because it's still wet, and I don't want it to bleed through. Okay. So on this piece, let me get my brush. Okay, where's my Sumi brush? It's normally right here. My scripting one. You know, I have different ones that do different things. You guys know that. Oh, here it is. Always like to get a little bit of water on the brush before you start. It allows the brush to take the ink better versus just a dry brush. Starts hydrating the bristles. Put that there. Okay, so let's just do some scripting. You know, this is an old-time favorite. Make sure that I'm on here good. Of course, then this is so lovely that it gets torn up, and oh, I love it. This is just one of my favorite brushes. I have my master courses that are coming up. We have the link in the bottom, but one of the things I'm going to be doing is coded language, and part of it is going to be revisiting scripting in a different way. If you've done 1.1 and 1.2 in the scripting, those are still available. But this one, the coded language, is going to be going deeper into coded languages, but I'm also going to kind of show other ways to also do the scripting in a way that would integrate with the idea of coded language. So if that's something you're interested in, take a look at the courses with the link below. Right now I'm still doing a special, so all 4 courses are basically the cost of one of my master classes, just because, you know, these economical times are, you know, this economy is challenging. We still want to do our art though, so I just decided that I'd open it up. And you can get all 4 classes for only $285, and they're normally $245 each. So I've put a bundle up, and for those of you who come in and get them, grab them. And otherwise, the courses will still be up. You can buy them individually, and or they'll, you know, for another point in the future, they'll still be there, but they'll be at the regular price. So you see how the scripting and then having that paint underneath is going to be really good. So while this is drying some, let's also do one where I'm already 17 minutes in. We still have to do our oh boy, where is what I want to show you though? It doesn't matter if I don't have, oh here. Where is my, because one of the things I like to do is just to give a really neat, this is, we're going to be covering a lot of this in the master class with the one that we're going to be doing on eco staining. So many ways to stain paper and get some really lovely stuff out of it. So this is a different scripting that I do. This one I call Old Europe because it's a little bit more calligraphic and it goes from left to right. So we talk about these too. So now one of the things you can do is also using your coffee while it's still a little bit wet, spray. If it's going to come out, there we go. And what happens is it'll start bleeding. The ink will bleed because it hasn't dried yet. Once this Sumi ink dries, it doesn't bleed. But right now, it's going to bleed, and this paper is going to be so good. It's going to have a nice tone to it, and at the same time, see how the paint starts popping up to the top? This is going to be bleeding, and it's a good thing. So I just wanted to show you that. But we'll be doing a lot more of that in the course. And let's go ahead. I'm going to come back. I'll move this off. I'm going to come back with our book, and we're going to start collaging. All right, let's get ready to start working our papers. These are already dry. This one I just did. It's amazing. It's nice and dry. The other ones are a little wet, but these are some that I did with my patrons, including this one that was done on tea paper and abaca. It was sent to me by an artist who was going to start selling these, but doesn't look like she started yet. So I'm going to reach out to her and find out what's going on. And then I'd love to share it with you all because I love supporting, you know, other businesses and bespoke kind of artist-run shops and stuff like that. So, but I love this. Of course, it was a cleanup print from where I was printing earlier, so you see all the dots and stuff on there. But I have some gold dots and stuff on there, and then I, you know, came in with some quinacridone, of course, to clean all of it off. And this paper was nice and strong. It cleaned a lot of it off, so I really, really love it. So I think I'm going to put that as a layer down, and then I'm going to come back and take a bit of my scripting, like on this other side, I think. Figure out how I'm going to integrate it. And then I'm going to work with some of these either as a pattern. I'll decide what I'm going to do with that. Maybe I'll use a lot of it. Maybe I'll just use a little bit. But I really already do like how this looks. So I know I'm going to rip some of that. But will I have it sort of coming over top of it? Sort of integrating in. Like that. But then I'm going to also, so let's start here. Let me just see this too. I think I'm going to work with this one. It's nice and grungy, and I like. Take one of these strips. I don't know which one. Maybe this one. I don't know. I'm feeling very linear today for some reason. So let's just go ahead and take, I don't know, can I rip this? Sometimes it's not easy to rip this menu tissue, which is a good thing, which is why it's good for gel printing, because it's not easily ripped. Okay. You know, as thin papers go. So, do I want... Now this is always a thing with collaging, just kind of figuring out where you want things and how you want them. But let's just say I want that there like that. Well, that comes to a good point on the paper. And actually I like that, so let's just see. Then do I want this full strip down? No, I don't want this whole piece here. So let's say I use this amount. Oh, that's actually kind of cool like that. I have this break right here. I'm actually at the place where I have a break, so I'm going to work. I'm not going to work over it because I don't want my paper to get caught in there. So, you know, I'll work up to a point, and then we'll see the binding through there, which is cool. Kind of has an old world charm to it, so that works. I really think I like this right here. Let's go with this. Let's go with this. And I do like this little ragged edge here, so I think I'm going to keep that versus... Then I kind of like this area too. Goodness gracious, decisions. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to glue up the page. Let's start there. I'm going to get a lot of glue on this page. This paper is so nice and thin. It's going to respond really good to our glue stick. So let's get a good amount of glue. And then I'm going to put it down on that left edge, and then I'm going to see how I'm going to deal with this other bit. Really want to make sure I get good glue. I can look to the edge and see how much I have on here, so that's good news. Okay, now let's go ahead and fold this back so I can get this front edge first. Like that. Okay. This is the abacus, so the good news about it is you can work with it, pulling it up a little bit before it's totally set because it's a nice strong paper. It's the tea paper. So, love it. Got little bits of paint that pops up. I just go ahead and use my little glue stick and glue it back down. Okay, let's get paintbrush, some water. I'm gonna go ahead and get this edge off. That way I can see what I'm doing. So just using a little bit of water. So at least that's not, you know, fighting with my eye here as I'm trying to see what I have going. Okay, let's get rid of that. Now on this side, yeah, I think I will just go ahead and get rid of this now too. Because like I said before, when you get to the point in your book where there is a join, and it's open, it's not closed, I recommend just work on either side of that spread and don't try to cross over it, because it'll be fighting with your print the entire time, because it's an open spot there. And with this type of binding, it's more of a kind of has more of this sort of old world kind of look to this binding. It sort of likes to be a little bit more, you know, raw. And then it just goes down in there nicely. And that's perfect. I'll show you. And you can still see, you know, you can still see the binding. So you can still see our nice linen straps there. And it goes right to the end of the page. And so it's nice and neat versus, you know, crossing over. I really like this print on this paper. Looks good. Okay, so let's now go ahead and see what we're going to do here. I think I'll just put this down right there like that. But then so I'm going to go ahead and rip this now too. I can see where I want it to go, so let's just go ahead and want it to overlap a bit. It'll be a little wonky because of the there's paint on here, so it won't be the cleanest tear. It's okay because it's thin. It's going to go down nice and flat, and we'll be okay. Okay, there. Alrighty, that over there. So then I'm going to get this down, and then this is going to go on top of it like that. Just a nice overlap. Oh, I like that. Really still has, like, you know, sort of an old wall, you know, kind of graffiti, or maybe not so graffiti, maybe a little bit graffiti, but maybe just also, you know, what are they called? You know, walls where you post advertisements and playbills and all that kind of stuff. And you rip things off and then you have layers. That's the kind of old wall this is reminding me of. Just marks and pieces that are coming together that weren't originally designed to be together. Okay. Let's get a good coverage. Just make sure once you've gone over it, just go over it again. With these thin papers, this glue sticks really do a good job. Okay. let's go ahead and put this down. I'm going to butt it right up against the edge. There. Okay. Let me get one of my my catalysts. Got a new one over here. A few different ones, but these are really good for, you know, putting your paper down and getting a nice smooth, get those wrinkles out. Okay. So let's go ahead and line this up at the edge. Okay. Just kind of lift up and these thin papers and just kind of brush it in. Or smooth it, however you, whatever you use to do it. I really like painting on the paper before I do the marks on top. It's such an activated surface. And in this case, which I'll show you more closely once I finish this, you really get just a beautiful sort of very activated surface, a nice grunge kind of backdrop. Let me get something. Let's get a sheet of paper here. Because I want to just get off the page here. So we get that down good. Okay. So let's go ahead and I like to pull from the middle and then go to one side and then go to the other. I love it. This is perfect. Okay. Yeah, it really does have that kind of, you know, advertisement wall thing. You see, because by printing the plate, first of all, my plate was already dirty, and then by doing these real subtle kind of dots, you know, just for me, it just gave a lot of texture to the page without fighting with the scripting that I know I was going to do. And then picking up all this random stuff really just adds to the texture in the background of your print. And of course, we just have this glorious bit over there, and I could add more. So I think I like it. I'm going to stop here. I really like it as it is. I like the juxtaposition. And also, after I did this last week, I decided I wanted to put it in my journal. But I can add more to this as well. But right now, I just wanted to show you. I did add it to my journal. So if you guys, I'm sure some of you all did. But if you didn't, I put it in as a flip out. And then do some other stuff. I used some gray ink. And I used some of the champagne that we had used last week in the glazing. So if you want to know what colors I use this and then some gray ink just to kind of fill it in. And the other thing I want to show you all while I have you here, if you find that your pages may be starting to stick, because some of them will be thicker than others, like some of them have more paint on them than others, one of the things I like to do is I like to use this cold wax. So you can use Doralynns or Gamblin. And if you just go ahead and put some cold wax on, it's almost like, you know, shining a shoe. And you want to just get it on there, and then you know, once you get it on there good, you can come back and buff it. But what this does, it just puts a protection over the acrylic, and it takes that all that sticking away. It really helps with that. And you might find that over the course of this journey, you know, like you might do this and you come back and you might find, oh, it's still a little tacky. You can do another layer over top. So this, I'm using the Gamblin, but you can use Doralynns as well. Any cold wax product. But I'm only doing it on the pages where there's, you know, there's a lot of thick paint. The a page like this one doesn't need it because it's not tacky. This one isn't either, but this one was, and I think the next one was. So just wanted to make sure I showed you all that. And you can use this on in any of your books anytime, like any other books you make. If you have anything that's a little sticky, just go ahead and put it down. You can buff it up. You can let it dry and then come back and buff it some more. If you feel like you need to add some more, you can. But already, it just starts taking that tackiness away. And it just really helps when we're making these kind of books where we're painting directly to the page. Like I would do it on this one too. Because this one has a good amount of paint on it. And it just really helps to keep you from, when you come back to your work, it's not all stuck, you know. And maybe you've experienced a little bit of that already, so just know you can get a small bottle of each of these, whichever one you want to go with, because you don't need a lot. Probably one small one would last you throughout the whole project. Because like I said, every page won't need it. Like the page that I just did, it's not going to need it because it's already, it's thin and it's not really sticky. And then I would come back to this after it dries, and then you just buff it up some more. But then that's going to be good. So that one, this one was needed. This one may need it a little bit. I'll probably come back and put some on here. I noticed that there were some places that were a little sticky. And some pieces were and some pieces weren't. It just also depends on the paint formulation. But yeah. This one doesn't need it. This one won't need it. And I don't think this one needs it either. But we'll see once it's all dry. So there we are. Hope you guys enjoyed this session. There's a lot of moving parts I wanted to get in to get us to the finish line and not have you here all day. But yeah, so please thumb up the video. Make sure to do that if you enjoyed it. And if you're new to the channel, hit the bell, hit all, so that you can get all the notifications and come hang out with us. And we're just moving right along. I'm crazy about this book already. I just think it's so many different cool techniques in here, and by the time we're done, this whole book is just going to dovetail together so nicely. So there's another one done. So hope you guys enjoyed this. Enjoy time in your studio. Look forward to seeing what you do, and until next week, happy creating. Love you guys so much. Bye bye.